and I've just come in. I'm just going around and looking, doing my normal tank checks and looking around, and this L333 Belamonte Gold here has actually got a female trapped in the end of that cave. So this is really exciting. We might actually have L333 Belamonte Gold eggs potentially by the end of today or tomorrow. I did do some cooler water changes yesterday, so I don't know whether that's what's triggered it, but to be honest, you know, you've seen in the other videos, this guy has been in this cave the whole time, and he has just been super keen waiting at the entrance for the right lady to come along. So yeah, I don't want to shine the light because I don't want to spook him, but there is 100% a female down in there because I just did for just a second, and then I was like, oh, turn off the light, because you don't want to startle them or make them think that they're being watched or anything like that at this stage. So I might actually turn the light off on this row. And yeah, very exciting. So here is our moon tank that we did in the last video. Admittedly, I haven't actually seen the starlight plecos very much. There are some coolie loaches in here just to tidy up a little bit because they quite like a black water tank as well. So I do see those, but the starlights I have not seen very much at all, to be fair. So today's quite an exciting date. We've got a new delivery of fish coming from Brazil. So I can show you how all of that works. We've got 6 new species arriving, hopefully landing this afternoon. So I can show you how we get them in the tanks. We've got some really exciting stuff coming. Most of them are appropriate for smaller tanks. So that'll be really fun to show you. Even better today. So I'm just doing some water changes, and I generally leave the buckets just in case I've sucked up some guppy fry. And in the bottom of this bucket there are loads of Pleco fry. And I've got no idea where they came from. They're all bright yellow, bright orange. Then I just nearly tipped them all out down the drain, and I suddenly saw these little yellow things. So now I need to look through all of the tanks and see where the rest of them are, because these are pretty good sized, healthy looking fry, and I genuinely can't remember what tanks I siphoned out yesterday because it was so many of them. Yeah, cool, great, more fry, amazing. Right, exciting. Right, I think I got all of them. Now, I'm pretty confident these are a bristlenose of some kind. They've still got their egg sacs, so they're pretty fresh out. They're not a curry for sure. They're definitely, oh my god, they're so diddy. They're like a centimetre long. But yeah, you can see they've still got their egg sacs, so they're pretty fresh. I may have even, like, no, I can't have sucked them up as eggs. But, I mean, yeah, they look pretty good. They're definitely albino something. I have albino golds up in this tank up at the top here, but I don't remember doing a water change on that one yesterday. And then I did a water change on, oh god, it was so many because we've got new fish arriving in a minute. So yeah, I'm pretty confident they're like just albino bristlenoses. I say just. Obviously new life is very exciting. I have just dumped them in a spare tank that's empty. This is the one that the mustard spots were in, funny enough. So there's a bit of mulm in here, excuse that. Obviously I wasn't quite prepared. I'm getting ready for the Brazil delivery. But yeah, I mean, they've got red eyes for sure. They're definitely plecos. They're definitely albino. So that doesn't really narrow it down too much, aside from they're probably bristlenoses, although there are other species in this fish room that can produce albino babies. The chances of all of them being albino, like if these are, say, the L333 babies, because I do have a wild pair of L333s in one of these tanks, the chances of all of the babies coming out albino are like 0 to none like this. This is a pretty good brood, to be honest. I've got a good like 20 or so of them in here. Oh man, the camera, I'm so sorry, the camera is really struggling. Cool. A super exciting day in the fish room. We've got new fish arriving, and then the fish room itself is rewarding us for all of our hard work, keeping the fish happy, keeping them, you know, within the parameters, and eventually they will start reproducing. Cute! Ah, we love baby fish. Alrighty then, so Brazil has arrived, and lots of different fish shops, lots of different fish keepers do this whole process differently. I know for a fact that all of these fish are individually bagged, so every single bag has one fish in it. And basically these guys have had a long journey. They've come from Brazil overnight on a flight, and they've been in this dark box for a while. Now fish do not have eyelids, so you know how much it sucks when somebody turns the light on in the bedroom in the morning and you're not ready for it and your eyes really hurt. You can shut your eyes, these guys can't. So the first thing I do is I actually just crack the lid a little bit, and I leave them for about 15 minutes just to acclimate to the light. I do have a very quick peek just to make sure no bags is burst and there's no like blatant disasters. But the first thing I do is I actually just crack it open, and then I will be turning the lights off on all of these tanks as well. Excuse the monkey tail behind me, it's very old, but that is actually covering up the L333 pair that are trapping at the moment. So I've covered them up because I'm obviously going backwards and forwards with all these new fish, and I don't want to bother them too much. So yeah, it's all happening here today. But let's go grab something sharp and we'll crack these guys open. Lots and lots of the same man's face repeated over and over. I don't know if anybody recognises that man. If you know why he's important enough that he needs all of his face on Brazilian newspaper, please do let me know. That's a first, actually. Alright, so I'm just going to have a little peek. I have all wrapped up. I can normally tell because they pop a little bit of colouring in the water. No, they all look fine. And this is what the list looks like. So this is the Brazil list when it comes to ordering the fish. So packing is either like 4 or 6 or 12 per box. You can't just select individual fish unless it's just one large one, which obviously you get charged for the space, so they're quite expensive. You can see in green I've put in my firm choices, but often they do get subbed out, so you need to pop in a couple of sub choices as well. So even though I may have 6 tanks available, I'm not guaranteed that I'll necessarily get that fish. I'll find that out the day before. And also in terms of ordering the fish, because I keep everything species only, I've got to make sure I've got 6 or 4 or 12 tanks free before I can get those fish in. Alrighty then, so it's been a hot minute, and I've gone around and popped some food in all the tanks that I'm not popping fish in today. I did try and find where those little babies are from, either from that tank or that tank. I'm fairly certain they're gold bristlenoses. They look short fin to me, so I'm fairly confident it's where I've moved my group of adult gold bristlenoses, the ones that I've been filming quite a lot recently because they're always out and about. The tank that they were in, I seem to remember I did a water shoot on that one yesterday, so I'm fairly confident I'd probably not realised that they had eggs, and I've moved some fish around and left the babies in there, and then when I've gone to sort that out, I've then sucked the babies up. That's my best bet. But anyway, let's get on with these guys. Lots and lots of this guy's face. So the first ones I want to get out are the super short size, and what I do is first I'm going to float these, and then I'm actually just going to pop and drop them, because these bags are going to be full of ammonia, and the pH in these bags is going to be really, really low. So at the moment, because the pH is really, really low, that's not going to hurt the fish, even though there's loads of ammonia in here, because it's actually going to be a different chemical called ammonium. As the pH rises, the ammonia becomes more toxic. So if I started messing around with these and drip acclimating and things, you can actually end up with them swimming in toxic water very quickly. So it's actually best to just get them straight out of the bag water and straight into the new water. Obviously I am matching parameters and things to the species, so I know that the tanks are appropriate for them. And yeah, it's basically a case of we'll start off by floating them, we'll have a good look, and then we've got to cut each and every single one of these bags open and get the fish out. Good start, 28 tigers. So these are, you've got the 10K tigers, and then we've also got the L15s in here. That's an L15, that's a 10K tiger. So you can see the candy stripes, even though when they're stressed they've got really bold stripes. And then the 10K tigers, they're a Pinaculus species, so I can tell by the mouth. They have a very pointy, bony mouth, whereas this is a Picoltia species here, and they've got more of a mouth like a bristlenose, it's much rounder. Actually, I did get one wrong. Now the ones I'm looking for here are the super Schwarzschild cories, because cories have a tendency to self-poison. There's the first one out, and they all look brilliant, excellent. So yeah, these are Corridor super Schwarzschild. They're a very nice cory, very, very nice. They don't like it too hot. These are some wild L66 pin tigers, hypensistrus, very nice, very nice wild ones. So you can distinguish these from the L333s because the stripes are much thinner and they've got a lot more of them. And these like it pretty hot. Wow, some of these are really nice. There we go, that's all she wrote. Alrighty then, so while we wait for the temperature in the bag to equalise to the tanks, this is what we've got. So these are the L66 King Tigers, and I'll tell you what, some of these are absolutely spectacular looking fish. These are pretty spot on breeding size. I'd say that they're breeding size to me. So they're pretty mature individuals, and they all look pretty active. They do need a little bit of food, but that's pretty normal because they've been in transit for a couple of days. So yeah, pleased with those. That's a great start. And these are absolutely spectacular. This is probably like my favourite hypansistrus species. They look like little glitter balls, and oh, I might just have to keep a pair of these for myself. When I had these in before, someone swooped in and bought the whole lot. And it was right before Christmas, so I couldn't refuse. But these are absolutely phenomenal. Wow, yeah. So these are L262 fine spotted, or spotted queens, I think they call them, because they're very close to the Queen Arabesque Plecos. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal looking. They are amazing. I'm really pleased with those. Now the candy stripes are the main ones that are actually looking quite stressed. There's some really quite chunky females in this group. So with the Picoltias, normally the males are quite spiky once they're comfortable. But yeah, these are quite bleached out at the moment. They will develop a lovely orange-red coloration. Oh, that one's got an interesting markings. So yeah, these are the L15 candy stripes. Some very stressed ones, bless them. But they will get better once we've got them in the tank. So these are quite closely related to the leopard frog plecos, but they just get that sort of orangey red coloration. Sometimes a little bit more yellow as well, just depends on what you feed them. But yeah, they're very sweet little fellows, and they don't get too big. Yeah, candy striped picoteas. And the camera really does not want to focus on these, but up top we've got a Panaculus species. These are Tankei tigers. So they're almost like a yellow version of the 397s, and they were only given a scientific name about 8 years ago, I think it was 8-9 years ago. So they're relatively new in terms of, you know, they had an L number before that. This is a small wood-eating species, and they're very pretty. They've got quite defined stripes, so it's going to be interesting seeing how these colour up and what they look like once they are much more comfortable. Alrighty then, and then down here in quite a cool large tank, we've got these nice big Super Schwarzer cories. They've travelled pretty well. Sometimes shipping large cories can be a bit of a risk because they can really do a number on the bag, and some people believe that they can self-poison, which just means that there's an added risk. These don't like it too hot, 26 maximum, so they're a cooler water species, and yeah, I think they're going to work out quite nicely in here. And last but not least, the L134 leopard frog plecos, leopard frog picoteas. These are a very, very desirable fish in the trade, absolutely stunning, and yeah, these have come in a really good size, probably say a good sort of 7-8 centimeters body size, sort of about 10 centimeters including the tail. They're really nice, and some of them have started to develop that lovely sort of spotted mature coloration that they get as they get older. So I'm really pleased with these. Lots and lots of people after these, and they're a really great fun fish to watch. They're always out and about, and they really like their food, so it's always nice having these in the fish room. Yeah, wow, they're nice as well. I don't know whether it's between these or the fine spots which ones I like the best out of this delivery, but no, we'll let them float for a little while, we'll let the temperature equalise, and then it's time to plop and drop these. And then it's time to actually get the fish in the tanks. So for this process I plop and drop, which is just I cut open the bags, I sieve the fish actually through a colander. You can use a net, but actually for plecos I use a colander because they don't get stuck. And then I normally just tip the colander with the one fish into the tank, but actually this rack I can't do that, so I am just picking them up with some damp fingers just very carefully and popping them gently in the top of the tank. So in between each species I've got a couple of colanders. They go in the dunk bucket, so each one gets sterilised in between, and I had to just repeat this process for every single fish. There we go. So now that all of the fish are in their tanks, they are going to be looking a little bit bleached out and a little bit stressed. So aside from just making sure that everybody's okay and there's no blatant sort of pathogens, no fungus or anything that I need to medicate, I'll pop some wormer in for these, which is just what I do as soon as they arrive. And then it'll be time for lights out and just let them chill for an evening. So these are all species that are more appropriate for smaller tanks. None of these are going to get over about 5-6 inches tops, and generally they've got lower bioloads than things like bristle noses anyway. But there's some absolute stunners here, some king tigers there just making a mess, and yeah, these fine spotted L262s are absolutely phenomenal. I'm really in love with these. These only get about 4 inches plus the tail, so they're a really tiny little species, and they do have a bit of an attitude as well, which I do like. Alrighty then, that'll do for today. It's got quite late here now. So we've got all of the fish acclimated into their tanks, all of the new fish, and I've popped some Levimus sole wormer around for all of them as well. That's just something I do with new arrivals. We'll give them some breakfast in the morning as well when we check in with them. So yeah, pretty exciting day today. We had a nice Brazil delivery. We also had, we've got some cool fish trapping left, right and centre, so that's really encouraging. And yeah, we also found those little bristlenose fry as well, which are just in the tank with the tarders just behind me, so we can keep track of their progress. It's going to be a fun spring, I reckon. Lots of fish breeding, and I've got lots of projects to work on, so stay tuned for another video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.